Okay, 45V Vickers Vane assembly with some new cartridge, new shaft, new bearing, and a seal kit. So virtually it's a brand new pump except for the housing. So we've already washed the housing in the parts washer, and we'll show you a few tricks on these things here. But one of the things, you have these 4 bolts that hold this cap on here, and they have sealing washers in them. I already installed those, but you want to change these, and they get all the rubber gets all screwed up. So I get these. They're about $6 or $7 a piece, and so I bought like 20 or 30 of them. I keep them in stock for this reason, because you don't just run down to the store and buy those, and those don't come in the kit. Okay, so we're gonna get the shaft seal here, and I want to show you something that I do extra on this because I ran into a problem once. I put the seal in, and for some reason it started leaking on the machine. And we're real careful because I've run into that before. You can't cut these seals. But I took the pump apart, looked at it, and you just couldn't see anything wrong with the sealing part of it. So what I found is it was leaking around this outside edge here. So what I started doing is I just put a little Loctite around this edge, and you got to be real careful about how you do this, because you don't want to get fucking dogs. You don't want to get this anywhere on the sealing surface. So we just put a little on here. Okay. And then be real careful and just kind of lightly coat this whole thing around the outside. And remember, you don't want it getting on that seal area. So when we put it in, we're going to wipe that out, get a little grease on it, but you can kind of see just coating that a little bit. Now, you shouldn't have to do that, but being in maintenance and stuff, as a mechanic, you should, you do what you got to do, because it's a pain in the butt putting these on. So I'm going to press this down in there and get that started. I'll just start hammering it. You don't want to deform the seal. Now the right way to do this, I'm going to take this over to a little press. You see how I have that? It's going to press that down evenly. I'm going to take it over to the press real quick. So that was done on arbor press, so it pressed evenly. Okay, then wipe it out. Make sure there's none of that Loctite around in there. You don't want that setting up on any sealing areas or anything. Just take your grease, touch the seal area. Okay, then I replace these. Brand new washer that sits over the seal, and then a brand new spiral clip that holds the shaft in. So, normally the reason I replace these is sometimes they get deformed a little bit, and I want to put a new one in there. Okay, so you're going to check your shaft here. Okay, I've already put the extra grease in this bearing, wiped it all clean, got the snap ring on it. This is a brand new shaft. Okay, and you want to check this, make there's no sharp edges. You don't want to just slam this shaft into that seal. You got to kind of roll it when you're putting it in. So come down real easy. Tap, 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 tap. Now I'm just going to kind of roll it. It went in there real nice. And a spiral ring. I'm going to drop that in there. Make sure you get it locked in. It snaps in. Sometimes it doesn't snap in. You want to make sure I heard it snap. Check your shaft. Come up here, you can take a look. Double check you didn't roll the seal. Make sure that, I've seen that happen where the seal will be rolled because they slammed it in there. Just make sure that looks good. Put a little grease on it. Okay, now this is a brand new cartridge. Brand new. It's a special cartridge. It's a 66 ring on it. And what I did, you didn't see this, but I've taken this cap off to verify and just ID the rotation. It's right-hand rotation, but I wanted to make sure. And so what I use is this piston compressor to line it back up before I tighten the stack down. See, it's just a piston compressor, and I use that. Okay. But anyway, so now we're going to grease this up a little bit. Okay, you got a seal here, and then a seal here. Okay, but I'm going to put a little grease. We don't want to cut any of this stuff when we're going together. You don't want to cut any of these seals. Okay, so now we're going to right on there, perfect. Okay, now there's a case seal, the housing seal that comes with it. So it sits right in here. I'm going to put more grease. I've seen where these get cut sometimes if you're not paying attention. I actually had it happen to me once because I've done so many of these. You don't pay attention. And what it did is it cut this, and then so the customer goes and puts it on his machine, and it leaks, and it's your ass. Okay, so you want to make sure these sit down in there. You can see how it's actually a little, see how it's bigger right there? That's the problem. Guys, you got to make sure you get that down in there. It's a tight fit. See, it keeps popping out right here. Look. You don't want to slam that housing on. You want to make sure that thing's down. Like I said, I've done it. So you make sure that's sitting down there. Okay. Now, before I took this apart, I already marked it, but I went back and just put some red marks on here so I could quickly see where it was at. Just because the way this housing's clocked. Okay, the other red marks there. So I know it's going to go like this. Now I want to look in here because the two ports. I see some stuff in here I don't like. Okay, you got the two locating pins here. So I'm looking at the way the red mark goes over here and that. Check my seal again, it's down. I know where those are at, so this thing should fit just like so. It's going to be a little tight because I took it apart. You just got sometimes it needs a little bit. There it goes. Boom. There it sat right down. Okay. When it locked in the pins. We're going to double check. Make sure the height is right on the cartridge is perfect. Perfect fit. Got it clocked properly. I'm going to drop the bolts in. go back and make sure it's sitting down good. You didn't cut that seal. That looks good. So now we're going to put the cap on. This is so another pump bolts to the back. This is a 3-pump stack. One's a double pump, and then there's 2 singles, all around 60 gallons a minute. It's off of a baling machine. Okay, so now you don't want to forget you have an O-ring in the back to seal this up. So let's grease that up. Make sure it sits down good. Okay, this one's clogged too. There's a red mark. I know it goes like that. Got the seal in it. Drop it down like that. Then go back to your bolts, Allens with the sealing washers on them. And you'll put these in. Now, let's see here. You don't want to get all heavy-handed with this. Let's turn this down. Just get them in. I'll use it. Okay, so now that's basically it. You got basically a brand new pump. We'll cap this off, cap this off. Now, one thing you want to do, when you send this out, make sure they have a new O-ring. This is a big problem. You get this over there, they set this on their shelf, and then they go to use it. Their pump blew up. They go to put this one on. They don't have this O-ring. Okay, and you don't run down to the store and just buy this O-ring. So you make sure, when you send this to them, give them the damn O-ring. Because most places don't have it. Set it in there, and then I'll cap this off. I'll put a cap over this, and then we'll paint it. But at least they, when they open it up, the mechanics, they can just go for it, get the plant running again. Most people don't look at that stuff. So we'll cap this, and we'll paint it, and you have a brand new pump. Okay, now you could test this thing, but because it's a brand new cartridge, to end up testing this on our test bench, you got to get a metal cap on here, and then you're going to hook this up, and it's 60 gallons a minute. We have a test bench for this, but it's a brand new cartridge, so I've done a lot of these, so I know how to get them done. But yes, I've done so many, I have had a few problems. So that might give you a few tips to look out for if you ever run into this, being a mechanic, working in a plant operation, or something similar that you're doing at home.